Hey everybody, welcome to this video guide for Batman Arkham Knight on the Xbox Series X. Today we are going to be completing the Crime Alley AR challenge while playing as Azrael, and we are going to be getting 3 stars on it. So let's go ahead and get started, but before we do fully get started, if you are interested in looking for guides for this AR challenge for any of the other characters, definitely take a look at the description or click the card in the top right to access my playlist for this AR challenge, because I've made guides for all 8 characters for this AR challenge, and you can definitely benefit from them if you're struggling with any of them. Alright, now let's talk about some combat tips. So let's talk about some tips for making sure you don't take any damage when you are completing these levels. Personally, I'd recommend that you go with the method of hitting, dodging, and hitting. So you want to get in a rhythm of hitting, evading, so you can jump over an enemy, just jump away, etc., and then hitting once again. This allows you to sort of avoid needing to counter, avoid incoming blade attacks, or any other attack that cannot be blocked or countered. So that way you're not taking unnecessary damage because you're not personally prepared to counter, press Y or whatever to try to avoid that damage. Evading is what I personally like to do, and if you do this and also consider what the enemies are armed with, so that would be a shield or a taser, things like that, you'll have a better idea of how to react in certain situations. If you ensure that you are always dodging, you can reorient yourself and prepare yourself for the next attack you will need to perform, whether that be an attack to take down a shield enemy, a beatdown on a brute, a regular attack, or even preparing yourself for a counter. Giving yourself that extra time when evading will benefit you greatly between each attack, and allow you to avoid damage extremely easily as well. So remember, you want to get into a rhythm of hitting, dodging, and then hitting once again, and just keep that up. That is going to benefit you greatly. Of course, there are circumstances where you need to perform a special attack, like using the back claw to sort of disable the electricity surrounding an enemy, but those are exceptions to the rule and to the rhythm of hitting, dodging, and hitting. Now that we have got all of those tips out of the way, let's get started with this AR challenge. Alright, so starting up round number 1, this is going to be a very easy round since it is, of course, the first round. All we need to worry about in this round would be the bladed enemies and the enemy with the shield. Really not too much to worry about. I'd recommend you just counter the very first bladed enemy that attacks you. So normally that's the one on the left for me, and if it's a perfect counter, you do end up knocking them out, so it's an easy knockout there. And then I'd recommend you go for the shield enemies, so that way you can get the shield out of their hands, and you'll have a really easy time building up your free flow, and it'll just be a super straightforward round, especially because it's the first round. And here you definitely want to make sure you get a no-hit bonus at the end of the round, which means of course you just don't take any damage, and then you get a perfect free flow bonus, so you can build up your combo up to like 20, 25, and you get a 2500 point bonus as long as you made sure you got a perfect free flow throughout this round. So that is going to be the plan for this round. Right now we are going to go through the very first round. However, I am going to be adding the button prompts on the screen for the actions that I take, because I do want to further emphasize what I had talked about in the combat tips section, where I am discussing the hitting and evading. I just want to clearly illustrate that with the button prompts on the screen, so that will be showing up for the very first round. Won't be showing up for any of the other rounds, because that principle will be carried on throughout, and it's too much work to put it on every other round, but you'll see during this round I'll have the buttons on the screen. Alright, with all that said, let's get started with round number 1. Alright, so like I said, go for the counter on the bladed enemy, get that knockout. Then we are going to head over to the shield enemy and get it out of their hands. Now we can easily free flow between all of the enemies, hitting and evading where necessary, but really just going for the easy hits as soon as possible, and then finishing up the round. That was a very, very quick round. Hopefully yours isn't that quick, because you won't get as many points if you're super quick. But if you get a decent combo, you can see I got the no hit bonus and perfect free flow. I got a pretty good chunk of points from that perfect free flow. Alright, now let's head on to round number 2. Alright, so starting up round number 2, we have a brute, we have an enemy with a shield, and we have an enemy with a taser. Really, the only people you need to be concerned with would be the brute and the taser. The shield is annoying, but they won't be too much of a bother as long as you're just aware of them. What we want to avoid is accidentally attacking the taser enemy, and of course the brute, you just want to get them taken care of as soon as possible. So my recommendation would be to go for a beatdown or go for 2 special attacks on the brute so you can take them out, and then you can focus on the enemy with the taser, and then after that you can just worry about the riot shield, whoever you want. So my main focus would definitely be the brute right off the bat, and I definitely recommend you go for that beatdown, so that way you can build up your combo really easily. And then at the end of the round, once you have that perfect free flow bonus, you'll get a ton of points because of that beatdown. Alright, now let's get started with the round. So right off the bat, I go for the beatdown on the brute, just like I said, and then I counter the bladed enemy. Lucky for me, I succeeded in that. Then I use my special attack on the brute to get a lot of damage in. And now I am going to be taking that taser out of the enemy's hands and doing the same with the riot shield. And now I can free flow pretty easily without worrying about getting damaged. And I am going to use the special attack on the brute to take them out. And right now, looking at all the enemies, nobody has anything that can block or damage me very easily. So now it is just a matter of hitting and evading, building up my combo as high as I can before I conclude the round. So that way I can get the best possible perfect free flow bonus at the end of the round. So let's look at the final score for this round. I get the no hit bonus and I get the perfect free flow bonus. I got nearly 5,000 points on just bonuses alone. Alright, now let's head on to round number 3. Alright, so reviewing the enemies in this round, we have the brute here. This brute has a shield that can also change into blades, and he can create an electric charge around him. So I'd recommend that you just avoid the brute entirely, don't even focus on them. What I'd personally recommend you do is pay attention to the enemy with the gun and pay attention to the medic. Reason being is that the medic can create an electric barrier around enemies, and then you can easily get damaged by those enemies if they attack you or if you accidentally attack them. So of course it's just best to avoid that situation entirely. And a reminder, you can disable those electrified enemies by using the back claw. That will disable the electricity and allow you to attack them. So, you know, in case you forgot. But now let's go ahead and actually talk about who you want to target first. I'd personally recommend that you go for the medic and the enemy with the gun right off the bat. Build up your combo on the easier enemies, maybe even take down the riot shield enemies, so that way you can easily get a free flow going. And then once you have your first 2 special attacks available, you can go ahead and use 2 special attacks on the brute to finally take them out, and then just continue on with the round after that. It should be pretty straightforward, especially if you are watching the gun and you have taken out the medic. Now let's jump into the actual round. So right off the bat, like I said, not even worrying about the brute right now. We are going to make sure the enemy with the gun does not shoot us, and then we are going to be continuing on building up our combo. That enemy just got electrified, so we are going to disable them so that way they can't damage us at all. We are taking out the enemy with the shield and making our way over to the medic. I used the special attack on the medic just so that way I didn't have to deal with any electrified enemies. And now we are just continuing to build up our combo, keeping an eye on the enemy that has the gun and making sure that the riot shield is not going to be picked up very easily. And you can see I just used my first special attack on the brute, so that is 1 out of 2 to take down the brute. Now continuing to build up the combo, avoiding any damage incoming, evading as best as possible. I took down that enemy with the shield, and then I used a special attack on the brute. And now it really is just easy free flow. It shouldn't be too difficult. It is just a matter of watching the enemy that picks up the shield, because the shield of course interrupts the free flow. So it's just continuing on hitting and evading until we have completed the round. So right there you saw I got my 2nd star, so make sure that your points are pretty much at the same range that mine are at, 20,000 at a minimum, because in the next round you are going to be able to get a ton of points as long as you don't mess up, but there are a lot of chances to fail and mess up. I personally do mess up and I get hit in this last round, so you want to make sure you have a decent chunk of points when you come into this round, so that way you have a really good margin for error and you don't need to be perfect here. Now let's get started with the round. Alright, looking at all of the enemies in this round, this is going to be a very busy round. It is actually just like Batman. I did make the guide for Batman, right? I made a guide for all characters, but it is actually just a carbon copy of Batman's round 4, so my tips there will also apply here, but I will be using individual tips for Azrael specifically, although really it is the same. So personally, I'd recommend that you pay attention to the brutes, the medics, and the enemies with the guns, because the enemies with the guns, of course, can damage you from a distance. The medics can make other enemies electrified. Remember, you can disable the electrification with the back claw, and that way you can attack those electrified enemies. And then, of course, there are the brutes who you want to use special attacks on. It will take a minimum of 4 special attacks to take down both of them. So you want to make sure you are building up a really good combo, and you just don't want to worry about the brutes at all. So Just as a recap for this round in the preparation, we are going to target the medics, we are going to target the enemies with the guns, and then we are going to build up our combo enough to be able to perform 4 special attacks on the 2 brutes here. After that, it is pretty much smooth sailing, but I wasn't able to maintain a free flow combo the entire time, and I was damaged. So you don't have to be perfect here to get 3 stars, you just need to make sure you try your best, especially if your points are close to mine when you begin the round. You won't have too much trouble getting 3 stars for this challenge level. Alright, let's get started with our final round. So right off the bat, I am ignoring the brutes because I'm going to build up my special attack combo so that way I can use the special attack on them. And I am taking out the enemies with the guns so that way they are not a threat. I used 1 special attack on the brute here so that way I only need 3 more special attacks total. And I am continuing to build up my combo here, watching out for any enemies with the shield. You can see I actually managed to mess up my combo and I hit the enemy with the shield. And from here it kind of just falls apart in terms of my consistency. I kind of mess up here and there, so it's not a perfect round, but I am maintaining my sort of focus on these targets. You see I just got damaged. It's just like the domino effect. I messed up once, so I gotta mess up 20 more times, right? But no matter what, I am going to continue to deal with the threats. I am really close to 3 stars, so I'm not stressing. I know that if I just get 1 good combo off, I can get to 35,000 points really easily. So it is just a matter of persevering and making sure I am targeting the threats, getting anybody that may damage me down and out, so that way I can just focus on getting a huge combo. And as you can see, I just got my 3rd star, so now all I need to do really is just complete the round. I'm not worried about getting just a super high score. All I'm worried about is just making sure I get the 3 stars. So just continue on hitting and evading, making sure I do not get killed and taking out any of the enemies that are in the way. You can see I just took down the medic, so now it is just a matter of taking down all of these easy enemies, getting rid of the riot shield. Once that riot shield is out of the way, it is just going off with the free flow, just continuing on. No matter if I get hit or anything, it is really easy to just take the rest of these enemies out. And you can see, like, I just fell apart, but I knew I was safe with my 3 stars, so I'm not stressing. Anyways, with this final enemy, we have completed this level, and if you achieved more than 35,000 points, you have gotten 3 stars as well. Let's see my final score, only 41,000. That's not too good of a bonus, so really the perfect night, so that would be no hits on all 4 rounds, and the perfect free flow bonuses make such a huge difference when it comes to the end of the level and achieving your 3 stars. So definitely make sure you target that when you are going for 3 stars yourself. But as you see, it's not necessary. Just do your best to get the highest combo possible in each of the rounds. Alright, now finally, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you appreciated. Please stick around and subscribe or drop a like on this video if you did appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.